Hey guys. Hey guys, welcome to this video. Thank you so much for tuning in, sharing in this now moment with myself and with one another. If you haven't seen these videos before, welcome back. If you have, my intention is unity and oneness. I want to go into a little bit just of an energetic update, a little bit of flow. I have about 15, 20 minutes to drop in. I want to talk a little bit about some of the things that so much happens every day. Let me just give you a recap. How are you guys feeling? How are we feeling? Are we feeling centered? Are we feeling like we're able to drop into our bodies? Um, are we feeling like we're able to find our heart space and our appreciation and gratitude for some of the things we're experiencing? We are in such a massive shift, and I know that a lot of the spiritual people who do what I do are all saying the same thing. And usually, one of the things I've always gone off of for validity and validation is if we're all seeing the same thing, we all are in coherence with what the energies are expressing. But everybody has a different interpretation. So we're all basically seeing that this frequency and energy is huge, that there's massive changes coming. The way that looks, oh my goodness, this dog. The way that looks for each of us is going to be very different. And also the interpretation of what that looks like is going to be very different. So I'd love to do a video on that at some point, and maybe I will. But just recognizing that I think is really important to recognize that it's not going to look the same for all of us. No matter what somebody says or how good they are, the predictive modeling and all of that, we don't know what we don't know. Somebody might know a lot. That doesn't mean they know everything. And none of us know everything. And we're really being called to kind of recognize that things are shifting so rapidly and there's a lot going on. There's a lot of moving parts. I was shown one of the biggest messages that's coming through is polarity. So I think I just want to tune in and drop in actually and see. I've got about 10 more minutes, or 15 more minutes. So maybe I'll tune in and see if the guides have anything to share about that. They brought up this before, scramble. It's a football term, scramble, something about football. So it's something about us. It's a scramble. It's a scramble. The energies are consistent. They are consistently pushing and pulling. And as we allow ourselves to move into this new stream, if you will, this jet stream, we can allow this velocity to move us in a forward direction at a faster pace. Some people are going so fast that they are missing the moments in between. They are not necessarily paying attention to what they are feeling, what they are experiencing, how they are expressing. And we are being invited to remind everybody to feel into your experience, because the more you feel into what you are experiencing, the more you begin to reorganize your patterns around what you are experiencing. Therefore, you change what you are experiencing. You change what you will be experiencing. You change the patterns in which you experience reality. As you change and shift the patterns that are part of this reality, you would then experience the reality in a shifting settee. This is a play on words. I've written this before. I can't remember what it means. And the energy that accompanies this lift, if you will, this jet stream, is then able to be mm, moved through more cohesively. We begin to reorganize our center of gravity. And while it may feel as if we are in this really large rift or state of polarity, we also are being pulled together in oneness from one perspective. There is a sense of a desire for unification within our own center, within ourselves. And so while it may seem like utter chaos is erupting all around us, there is also a deep I'm hearing centrifugation, centripugation, like a centripetal, like there's a play on words, centripetal. There's a force that is drawing us back in to our own stream, our own center source connection. And the more we begin to listen to our inner stream of source connection, the more we begin to alleviate the polarity that is pulling us in multiple places, that is pulling us into certain, I'm seeing faces like, oh, okay, this has been brought up before. Personalities. I'm seeing an identification. I'm seeing everybody being an individual, yet when we recognize we're all connected through the same, I'm hearing umbilicus. That's a play on words. For the original template and structure of sound or light or energy or quantum magnification of the frequency that moves through all things, we see at that quantum scale level or harmonic presentation that there is no true separation. Yet here we are experiencing what seems like massive distortions, polarization, and separation. This is merely a game that is being played till to its last piece, if you will, being played out over and over again from one perspective, yet coming to an end from a larger perspective. Or this is not something that will be it's not infinite, even though it seems like it is. It's finite. The way in which the structure of reality has organized itself around the fight or flight mechanism, the mechanisms of separation, will eventually dissolve. And it will come to an end when we begin to come to our own recognition of inner source power, when we begin to recognize that we are the source, we are the frequency, we are the light that moves through all things individually, meaning we are an individual representation of the light harmonization that is part of the complete picture, if you will. And even though each of us has an individual imprint, time stamp, footprint, fingerprint that is part of this reality structure, it is all connected to the same. Um, I'm just seeing like the beginning, right? And so we are being called to return back to our own sense of harmonization. When we continue to do this over and over again, reality moves into a different configuration, a different pattern of reorganization, a pattern of an organized organism that is actually bound together through the infinite portal of realization from one perspective, like source realizing itself, source experiencing itself, whatever we want to label source as: God, love, light, energy, sound, um, the spirit that moves through all things. We do not wish to go into what exactly that looks like, but we would invite you to go into your heart to feel what that feels like. For the individual face structure or template that each human makes up is only a piece of a quantum structure. It is only a personification, if you will, of this particular template of reality. And there are billions. There are infinite templates of reality. So we are being invited not to get lost again and again in our own temple. We are being invited to go within to our own temple of reorganization and recognize that we chose to come here during this time to experience and express from this expression through this experience that is individual, yet connected to the greater whole, the greater picture, the greater of all. And the more we come back into unification with our own heart structure, the more our reality reflects back to us that unification. And so we invite you to see this as a temporary reorganization and not to put conditions on what the new reality must look like, sound like, or be structured like. While it is important to have a visualization of what we would like to see, we would invite you to be open to the complexity and interweaving that you cannot see. We would invite you to recognize that not every body needs to look like you. Not everybody needs to look and see the same way or see things from the same point of view. And once we come into that realization and we come into a place of acceptance, patience, compassion, and allowing our lives to unfold, the more peaceful, compassionate unfolding will begin. We will begin to find more agreements or more subjects and topics we can agree on. And we will begin to interlace those topics, subjects, and agreements within the new lattice work of the structure of reality. And we are at the beginning stages of this. We're at the beginning stages of the new reality. In fact, the new reality has already begun. We have started to watch the old reality come undone. And we are in this stage being invited to let go of how that is happening, what it looks like. And we realize that there are many who wish to hold on to some idea or ideology of what reality needs to look like, how people should look or behave. What happens when your blue brothers and sisters land on this planet or come up from the land that is within this planet or pronounce themselves in a very direct and cohesive way and walk among us? What if they walked among us today? Would we accept them as part of the greater picture? Would we need to get them to follow our rules? And whose rules would they follow? For each of us has individual house rules, so to speak. Instead, we are invited to look, and I'm not saying just blue. I'm seeing like what's the show, the old show Star Trek? Like, what if we had all these beings? It again, what I'm hearing is it needs to be a cohesive operational unification and system that isn't based on an idea of no order or structure, because we're not ready for that yet. But it also has to be based upon an idea of structure and order that isn't from a I'm seeing mind over matter. It's about heart. It's about gratitude. It isn't about greed and power. It is about coming to an agreement that things need to be done differently, yet they can be done from a compassionate place of harmonic understanding and less intrusion into people living their lives. And that's complicated because of the structure we've had our reality created around before. And so I'm being shown that both sides of reality, of politics, of religion, of whatever, there's two sides to the same coin. It's the same coin. So if we can take and combine what does create more unbound principles, and we begin to work with the quantum structure, we will begin to see how unified we really are and how unified we can behave. And as I say behave, I see beehive. And I'm hearing it's not like a hive mind, it is the hive of the heart. It's the buzzing, it's the feeling of electricity, light, and excitement at growing together, at living among this beautiful I'm hearing sweetness of life, because life is so beautiful when we can get out of our own way, when we can get out of each other's way, when we can get out of the old ways of greed and distortion, and we can move into recognizing what we are operating from, our wholer potential, like our great potential. And even those that think they are, ooh, I'm seeing like untouched, like, oh, my way is the right way. It doesn't mean that's true. So there is a little bit of everything just kind of reorganizing itself. So I'm going to come back into flow at a different point because I have to run, but um I have so much more to share, you guys. Artemis has been coming up so much for me. She's one of my guides. the bees, the honeybees, how much we can learn from them, how much they have to teach us, how important they are. Um, Gosh, what else? I just see a huge collaboration of coming together rather than us acting like, um, I'm just hearing get rid of the hate, get rid of the there's been this extreme on both sides. And we're going to continue to see that if we're going to harbor ill will against someone else. It's that simple. So that's one of the things I'm seeing. People are here under the guise of freedom, that people are here under the guise of love, and that can also be a false front. So there's all this stuff that we're being called to look within ourselves. Am I really in a place of complete patience? Am I really in a place of compassion? And when I'm not, recognizing that, acknowledging it, and coming into a place of, okay, this is where I'm at. Why is this coming up for me? What does this mean for me? How can I make these adjustments? What can I do to increase my expansion from a place of coherence, from a place of love? And coherence is actually a bigger word than love, by the way. I don't know how to explain that, but my guides are like, it's more about coherence and unification and gratitude. And that is a form of love because you're creating a space of bliss, joy, acceptance. And it doesn't mean that we're not having a little fire and a little passion and other things mixed in. It doesn't mean that it's a bland soup. It means it's got more ingredients that we're still adding to the recipe. It's not completed. So we're being called to recognize that it's incomplete because we are still coming to completion, and yet all is complete in the wholeness and unification of the heart-centered oneness with the spirit that moves through all things, with the energy that moves through all things. So once we keep coming back to that, all of this chaos and distortion around us doesn't, it will shift according to the energy that we are projecting from within each individual person, that then comes together in how we operate within our collective with each other. We'll have more ideas that we didn't think of before. We'll have more resources that we didn't recognize before. We'll have more capabilities that are coming online because now it's like a combination lock that opens and we're like, whoa, where did this secret room come from? And we get to explore that. And in that exploration, another level opens up that was previously inaccessible. So this is, I gotta keep going, I gotta run, but in love and light, guys, namaste.